I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
I voted for Donald J. Trump in the 2024 presidential election, and I am starting to regret my vote. When I voted for Donald Trump, I was under the impression that we would be getting rid of the undesirable illegal aliens. Now I have no one to work on my farm. What am I supposed to do? Pay them a living wage? This isn't handout city. I'm not giving these people no handouts. And how am I even supposed to do that anyway? I thought the plan was to tax the poors. Okay? I thought we were going to tax the poors. I make $25,000 a year. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them poors. But why did my taxes raise? I thought us good folks were supposed to be getting tax cuts. That was what I thought. Plus, I'm white. Why did my taxes raise, and why do I have no one to work my farm? I do not understand this, and I know that this was not what Donald Trump meant to happen. I know that he doesn't want us good Trump supporter folks suffering, but we are. Donald Trump, please reverse this. I'm a white person. I am not supposed to be suffering. It was supposed to be the Mexican.
Nebraska farmers are going bankrupt as rising costs, low prices, and government neglect push them to the edge. Families that fed the state for hundreds of years are now running bankrupt and losing everything. And it feels like no one cares for Nebraska anymore. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Let's put it on fire. Does anyone care for Nebraska?
Someone please go check on Nebraska. Do you guys know what's going on over there? And if you don't know what's going on, that's why you have me, so I can explain it to you. But básicamente, Nebraska is about to go bankrupt in 6 months. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to smile. It's just a little ironic because majority of Nebraska voted for you-know-who, el pendejo, right? Majority of Nebraska is like, does anybody care about us? Like, we're about to go bankrupt in 6 months. And the reason why they're about to go bankrupt is because the majority of the workforce in Nebraska is built off, who do you think? The back to Latinos, right? That are undocumented and they're scared to go to work and they're not giving any money to the farmers. So their agriculture is dead. They're like, who cares? Like, can somebody come and help us? No, mijo. I have no pity for you. Sorry.
Promising another economic boom, another wave of greatness. But how many times can you fall for the same line before you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, you're being played? Because let's zoom out. This isn't just about Nebraska. This is about a bigger pattern. Communities that put blind faith in a politician who told them exactly what they wanted to hear. That their way of life would be protected. That their jobs would come back. That their farms would thrive. Only to discover that slogans don't balance checkbooks and rallies don't pay mortgages.
In the first quarter of 2025, bankruptcies for farmers exceeded the 2024 total for the year. And in the second quarter, according to new reporting that just came out, they doubled last year's number. So the farmers that overwhelmingly voted for the administration we have are filing bankruptcies at a record pace. The last time farm bankruptcies were this high was during Trump's last term. For somebody that claims to love farmers, he sure just consistently hurts them. In fact, the last time it was this high was between 2018 and 2019.
Now, the people of Nebraska are learning the hard way that democracy isn't about cheering the loudest at a rally. It's about policy. It's about cause and effect. And when you vote for someone who doesn't understand global trade, who doesn't respect the role of immigrants in America's food system, who thinks protectionism is a magic wand, you don't just get tough talk. You get consequences. Nebraska's farms aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They're generations of families. They're small towns that depend on harvests. They're kids who dreamed of taking over the family farm, only to watch it collapse under tariffs and labor shortages. This isn't an abstract policy debate. This is dinner tables going empty, bank accounts being drained, and futures being stolen. So, what do you think? Is Nebraska just the first domino to fall in Trump's so-called economic miracle? And if this is what winning looks like, how much more of it can America afford?
Does anybody care about Nebraska? That's the question that's going around TikTok right now, and to that, I respond with two questions. Did Nebraska care about anybody else? And does Nebraska care about Nebraska? Because, you see, God helps those who help themselves. And when you Nebraskans walked into the voting booth and overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump to be president, and now you're feeling the effects of that, this isn't I told you so. This is an FAFO. And I know there are Nebraskans out there that voted for Kamala Harris and did not fall into the trap of Donald Trump. Unfortunately, there were not enough of you. And now the rumors, and I'm having a hard time substantiating some of this, but the vibe that's going around is that Nebraska basically looks to be bankrupt in about 6 months because of the undocumented migrants that are being deported, or just the fact that undocumented migrants make up a large portion of their state and workforce on the farms, and they're not showing up to work because they're now afraid they're going to be deported. So Nebraskans, especially farmers in Nebraska, did you think any further than the front of your face? Did you think any further, or were you just blinded by hate? And now people are coming out here asking, what about Nebraska? Do you guys care about Nebraska? No, I've already answered it, but the short answer is no. No, we don't. We don't care about Indiana, where I'm from. We don't care about Kentucky losing their bourbon up in Canada. We don't care about Jack Daniels in Tennessee. We don't care about the auto industry in Michigan. Are we all going to feel this? Yes, it's going to hurt. The disruptions in the food supply from Nebraskan farmers is going to hurt everybody. We are not immune, but we can't care. We can't care. We have no more sympathy to give. You guys had a chance. We spent our time telling you, talking to you, talking at you because you wouldn't listen. You decided to vote for Donald Trump. And here he is undoing your entire workforce. And when you lose your family farm of 150 years to a private company who's going to buy up all the land when you guys can't pay your bills, that's the state of America we're going to be in, because you decided to vote for hate over the rest of the country and your own good. You cut off your nose to spite your face. So Nebraska, we don't care. God helps those who help themselves, and you decided you didn't want help.
This is Taco for all of us. Well, not for them, but tragedy for all of us, because if the farms go down, where do we get our food? Okay, so Nebraska will be the first state in the union to ever file for bankruptcy, according to this. Their migrant workforce, which is 71% of their workforce, left when Trump threatened deportations. And the farmers are now all losing generational farms that were taken from Native Americans. Now they're raising hell, and Trump hasn't even looked at them. See? You see how it works? So, I mean, when you vote to hurt other people, it hurts you. I mean, I don't know what more they need to know, but I really like the sound that came with this video from Instagram from @1beautiful_star. It's freaking hilarious.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer to Thee than anyone else on this earth, because we deal with Your earth every day. Dear Lord, we're hurting, dear Lord. We can help what's happened to us.
It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, the governor, Jim Pillen, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem in Nebraska. They had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, they've canceled all the contracts. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers weren't able to work in Nebraska this summer, that those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money. They're going to need help too, because they're not getting any money from the contracts anymore. So Nebraska is the first state. And when you look at the Midwest, you're probably looking at
Most people will tell you this is not emergency powers what he's doing.
And is it hurting your constituents?
Yes, right. We heard just yesterday, we have a company that makes combines. They're moving all of their manufacturing that makes combines for Canada to Europe because of the tariffs from going to U.S. to Canada are too high. They can't compete. So they're going to move all the manufacturing for Canadian combines to Europe. That's hundreds of jobs right there. Iowa and Nebraska are really struggling right now with our farm economy. We're not growing markets for corn and soybeans. The president's making trade deals, but not a single country that I can see has bought more corn or soybeans. And that's what we really need right now. Tariffs aren't working, at least the coffee. I mean, I went and bought coffee when I came back from my apartment, and it was up $4 the bag that I buy, right? People, that's not success right there. So I feel like if we have an opportunity to speak up, other people think they'd rather try to give them more time. But I think a lot of people share my view on tariffs. They share my view.
A lot of people are scared of it.
They are
terrified about getting.
Yeah, I've been baptized in fire already. A lot of people don't want to go through that.
Maybe y'all saw the news out of Nebraska today. Our state has, in fact, gone bankrupt. Due to his tariffs and the loss of all of our migrant farm workers, our state has lost over $500 million. It's so bad that Governor Pillen had to call and ask him for a bailout, and we don't know if he's going to give it to us. My husband and I did used to own a farm here in Nebraska, and thanks to the loss of all the workers, we went bankrupt, and bankruptcies in our state overall are at a record high right now. It's still just so weird to me because we all voted red. Nebraska, every county, every district overwhelmingly voted red. And that seems to have been the reason that we're all out of business now. And that just doesn't make that much sense to me. If you vote for a party, shouldn't they protect you? Shouldn't they pass policies that will help you stay out of bankruptcy? And it's not just the farms, but the whole state is going under because we voted red. When you're a farming family like mine, I can see now that it is important to think before you.
Well, the state of Nebraska and their Governor Pilling is asking Donald Trump for help. See, the state of Nebraska is facing bankruptcy. Why are they facing bankruptcy? Well, let me tell you why. Because of the tariffs and farmland, they can't afford anything, and a lot of bad state business decisions. Now remember, Nebraska is straight red. They are Republican through and through. And now they're about to go bankrupt because of tariffs, farmland, and not doing the right thing with their money. So Governor Pilling is asking Donald Trump for help. No word Trump will help him. See, this is what happens when states don't do the right thing and the federal government don't tell the states, no, you can't do this. So Nebraska, who loves nothing but MAGAs and Republicans, that's fine. You have that right. Now you're going bankrupt, and every state must balance their budget every year. Nebraska's in trouble. They are actually in the red, and I mean in the red big time because of poor decisions.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
That question is so funny, and I don't know if you were being serious. You were being serious. Okay. The answer to that question would be no. It just would be no. I'm not a heartless person, but it would definitely be no because I feel like you guys fucked around and found out. You guys did this to yourselves. You hated a certain group of people so much so that you voted for this person who is now doing this to you guys. You voted him in, and now that you guys are reaping what you sowed as farmers, you're regretting your choices. So no, we don't care. My suggestion to you is to get off of the TikTok, stop posting all these boo-hoo, cry me a river videos, and put your phone down and get out to the fields yourselves, because the work is not going to do itself. It's not. So, you fucked around and found out. Sorry.
Is Nebraska really going bankrupt? The short answer, it's no. I've seen the viral TikTok say otherwise, and as happy as an FAFO moment made me feel, something felt really off about it. So I decided to look into it. Trust me, I wanted it to be true. The idea that a red state fumbling its budget feels like a poetic kind of karma. But here's the thing. We don't win by copying MAGA tactics. We win by being right. Let's get into the facts. Nebraska is legally required to balance its budget every year, and it's currently sitting on about $900 million in reserves. Yes, there is a projected future budget shortfall for 2026 to 2027, but lawmakers have already passed an $11 billion plan that closes the gap, using normal tools like reserve funds and reallocation. This isn't bankruptcy, it's budget planning. Unlike the federal government, states can't run deficits. They have to plan ahead and end each budget cycle with revenues matching or exceeding spending. That's why Nebraska's shortfall is about future projections, not actual debt. If revenues dip, states tap into reserves, adjust spending, or shift funds between programs. It's budgeting 101 at the state level. The viral panic came from a misunderstanding of a routine legislative report, and suddenly, a TikTok rumor turned into a talking point spread by people who didn't read past the headlines. Now, I get the impulse. I really do. It's exhausting watching conservative lawmakers push for budget cuts, tax breaks for the wealthy, and anti-worker policies, and then act shocked when their finances hit the wall. For liberals and progressives, it's tempting to treat that as a gotcha moment. But if we start jumping on misinformation just because it feels satisfying, we're not being any better than the disinfo machines we fight against. We deserve better, and we have to be better. Again, I totally understand the impulse. I constantly have clients who send me social media posts from creators who talk about a certain tax benefit that sounds amazing, but when you actually get into the rules, it's not what it appears to be. So the next time something wild comes across your feed, pause. Check the facts before you react. We can't build a smarter, fairer future if we're using broken tools. Let's keep it sharp, ethical, and facts-based. Financial literacy for a brighter future. Be sure to follow for more tools and truth in the chaos.
I want to talk to my fellow farmers real quick. I want to know how you're feeling about everything going on right now. I want to know how you're feeling about the money that we're losing. I want to know how you're feeling about the fact that Trump is talking about bailing us out again. I want to know how you're feeling about the fact that we have it thrown in our face all the time that we got bailed out in his last administration. And if you're anything like me, you're a pretty proud person. You know that we work from before sun up until after sundown. I'm not strictly a grain farmer. I have a dairy, as many of you know, but we do grain farm about 2,800 acres. And personally, I don't want a fucking bailout. There is no point in time where as a farmer, I feel like I shouldn't be able to be profitable considering I produce something that every single living human on this planet requires in order to stay alive, which is food. I'm tired of being told that I live off of the government and I'm the biggest welfare queen there is. My family works harder than any other people I know. And I know that farmers tend to be pretty proud people. So I'm wondering how you're feeling about quote unquote needing a bailout again, having to take another handout. I didn't vote for this shit. I paid attention the last time he was in office and I watched farmers go out of business. In all fairness, I didn't vote for him the last time either because I don't like him as a fucking human. But I'm just wondering how you're feeling about this. And I want to know how you feel when you see people say good, that they hope we do go out of business and that we deserve it for voting for him. I didn't, but I know some of you did. But how does it feel to be labeled the biggest welfare queens in the country when I know how hard we work and you know how hard we work? How does that feel? Like, how does it feel that Trump is making you look like you're getting a handout? I personally don't fucking like it. And I just want to know how the rest of you are feeling about it, because this is really fucking stupid.
So it appears as though Nebraska is about to go through some things. They're about to have their find out moment, if you will. In 2024, the state of Nebraska overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. Knowing he was going to put tariffs on everything, knowing what a malignant shit show his first presidency was, and they overwhelmingly voted for him anyway. party over country, I guess, right? So what Nebraska is about to find out is that in possibly 2 more quarters or 6 months, the entire state of Nebraska is going to have to file for bankruptcy. They're broke. Why? Because in 2024, the state of Nebraska overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. What they voted for, they were so hyped up to get rid of illegal criminals. That's what they thought they were voting for. What they actually voted for is eliminating their entire workforce. The entire state's farm labor workforce is basically vanished. Rightfully so. I wouldn't want to be there either. And then you get this pretty MAGA lady all over all these apps and all of the internet crying about how Nebraska's going to go broke and how they're going to lose their farms. You knew that. We told you. But you voted for hate. You voted for an ignorant, malignant, narcissist, rapist, felon. Because he was going to get rid of all the bad people. He is the bad people, you idiots. Now, there are a lot of blue-blooded people who are sadly stuck in these situations in red states right now. This video is not for you. I have all the love for you. You didn't do this to yourselves. What are you going to do now? What is going to happen next? If Nebraska is the first state to fall, and if and when Daddy doesn't send help, what are y'all going to do? Your generational farms, your generational wealth, gone. Because of your hate and a dipshit. I have no sympathy for you. We were screaming from the mountaintops. From the tops of the buildings, the tallest skyscrapers. We were screaming at you. We were trying to plead with you. Listen, for those of you who claim to do your own research, you might actually want to do some. Anyhow. Fuck around. Find out. Nebraska's first.
Have y'all seen that lady from Nebraska? Don't worry. I'm going to put it down here. She was one of the ones who came out and said, we voted for this and we regret it. She's one of the ones that's actually remorseful, not one of the ones that's coming on here going, yes, I asked for this, but please don't tell me how it's my fault that my consequences are affecting me and not just the people I hate now. I don't want to hear it. Okay. Not that we don't care about them, but this one, they're cattle farmers, and I guess Nebraska's on track to go bankrupt in like 2 quarters. Okay. And the most interesting part of the piece that she put up, and I'm not saying this to throw shade, I'm saying it to emphasize what's up. Okay. She says, we knew that they were going to be coming for the undocumented, and here almost everyone's a farmer of some kind, and 70% of our workforce is immigrant labor. And while we knew they were going to be coming for the undocumented, and we knew 70% of our workforce was going to fall into that category, we still supported this. And now thinking about it, I'm going to say it one more time, and now thinking about it, they realize it didn't make sense to support something that went against their own interests and to put their support in something that is now feeding their own demise. And I appreciate her for coming on here and giving these updates and just saying, with each time, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, in retrospect, I can't believe I did that. In looking back, this made no sense. I did it anyway, knowing it didn't make sense. I appreciate her for that. Because we've got too many that are just incapable of doing that. Just incapable of saying, wow, Yeah, I convinced myself to go against my own interests. Why did I do that? Like, that is work. That's self-work. Okay? And that's what we have room for. We have room for people that are like, wow, I now want to look into why. I convinced myself to do something that was not going to help me. Why did I do that? We need more of that. We need more of that. And less people going, yeah, well, I'm just going to hold on to my hate and rage and anger, and I'm going to blame everyone else. And you know what? Yeah, I'm going to fight to keep my job. I'm getting a lawyer. Okay, I'm fighting this. I don't care if I asked for it. This isn't fair to me. It's not supposed to affect me. What about me and me and me? We don't care about them. Like I said, they can go fend for themselves. They can go fund themselves. But yeah, it's very interesting. So these states that are already on track to go bankrupt just with the policies themselves, okay? Because she's like, people aren't showing up to work. I mean, whole thing, okay? And then blue states, you know, these cesspool states that are providing all the federal taxes, you know, people who live in states like Oklahoma who can't afford a plane ticket out here for the weekend love to talk about how this place is a cesspool, but they need our money to survive and to support themselves. Yeah, I am all for all of these blue states holding on to their money. I'm not interested in paying this regime. I'm interested in California independence or joining Canada or almost any other country but this one. And I would love to see how states like Nebraska plan on funding themselves when we aren't the ones putting into the pot anymore. We're going to keep our dirty little blue cesspool dollars to ourselves. How about that? How about that? Like, go ahead. Give it a watch. Give it a watch. I give her props. And keep it rolling. Because that's an area, that's a state where the administration is trying to tell you that we're traveling out there to their town halls. Okay? She's in one of the states where they're trying to tell you that it's us that are upset at the town halls. We're traveling out to cow country and removing our dreads and our blue hair to go make red legislators look bad. That's what we're doing. They wish they lived in our heads that much. They wish they lived in our heads that much.
How's it going, everyone? Moderate Republican with news out of Nebraska. If you haven't seen it on TikTok, there's a few people, creators out there, are saying that Nebraska is real close to filing bankruptcy. But the fact is, this Republican is going to shoot it to you straight. Nebraska is not in any danger whatsoever of going bankrupt. It looks like some creators on the left wants to try to spin a narrative that is falsely inaccurate. And yes, here's the breakdown. What they're referring to is the forecasted budget for FY 26-27. That is going into next year, into 2027. And that is a $400 million shortfall. Now, under the Nebraska Constitution, they are required by the Constitution to have a balanced budget. But they do have some safety nets in play that these creators didn't tell you about. That is called the 3% minimum reserve requirement, the rainy day fund, and the cash reserve funds to ensure that if any surprises come about, they have the money on hand to cover it. But don't worry about Nebraska. Nebraska is good to go. But comment down below. Tell me what you think. Did you watch one of these fake news medias about Nebraska? Let me know. Share it out. And don't let the dementia set in. Hit that follow, subscribe button. That'll let you know when I drop my next video. See you soon.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.